They are loved as man's best friend, but could dogs now assist us on the front line in the fight against COVID-19?
After Helsinki Airport has started using sniffer dogs to detect COVID-19, similar trials are underway here in the UK.
Well, we're joined now by Professor James Logan from the London School of Medicine and Claire Guest from the Medical Detection Dog Centre in Milton Keynes to tell us more. Welcome, both of you. Hiya, James. You've worked quite a bit with dogs in the past in this field, haven't you? Not necessarily COVID, but in other medical issues.
Yeah, that's right. So we've done quite a lot of work previously with these guys here to see if dogs can sniff out diseases like malaria, for example, and they can do it really, really well. I mean, dogs are absolutely incredible. Every time I see them work, I'm absolutely blown away by how good they are at sniffing, but also how good they are at learning smells that are associated with medical conditions. So for malaria, these guys can actually test somebody for malaria and do it better than the World Health Organization cut-off for a diagnostic. So we're really hopeful that they'll be able to do it for COVID-19 as well.
And if you look at what's going on in Helsinki, the trial over there, I mean, the results are very, very encouraging. So what do you hope for this country?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think we're pretty sure that COVID has a smell, and most diseases do. There's no reason to think that COVID wouldn't have a smell. And, you know, these dogs are able to do it. And if they can do it, they usually can do it really, really well with very high accuracy. So we're doing a study now, and we've been doing it for a few months. We've got a few thousand people already sort of signed up to the study, but we need more people because we need more samples to help us to train the dogs and be able to get them out there as soon as possible.
Yeah, we'll come to that in just a moment, because I know that you need 325 samples and you've only had 20 so far. So that's slowing everything down. We'll get some more details on that. I did want to ask you, some experts have said many viruses infect the same cells as COVID, leading to similar changes in odour, which may be confused with COVID.
Yeah, so what we've seen with previous, you know, I've worked on this sort of thing for the last 20 years or so, and what we see is most diseases tend to give a very specific signature of odour. So we think that the same will be happening with COVID-19. It's a question that we have to answer, but we need enough samples to be able to answer that. But the likelihood is that coronavirus, COVID-19, does have a distinctive odour, and if it does, and it's really strong, these dogs are going to be able to detect it really well.
And can they detect somebody who's maybe asymptomatic?
Yeah, and that's a really, really good point. So, you know, we are collecting samples from people who have no symptoms whatsoever and some people who have symptoms as well. We want the dogs to be able to detect across a broad range of people. So imagine we're using these dogs in an airport or perhaps a train station or even a place of work. You know, we want these dogs to be picking up on anyone who's got symptoms. So those would be anyone who's infected, sorry. Some of those people will have symptoms and some of them will not have symptoms whatsoever. So we want to have this sort of broad range of people who might be infected with COVID-19. But even people who don't have symptoms still change in their smell, and the dogs should be able to pick up on that.
Amazing.
So let's talk about those samples that you need. What is it that you need, and how is it to be done?
Right, well, I've got something to show you here because basically, it's really, really simple. So if people can get in touch with us, if they've had a positive test recently, just in the last couple of days, or if they've got symptoms and they're due to get a test, get in touch with us. We'll send a pack, something that will look like this. It's pretty simple. It contains a shirt or a T-shirt. It contains a face mask, and it contains a little pair of stockings as well. And these are really, really good materials to collect body odour. And basically, we'll ask people to wear those for a couple of hours, collect their body odour and their breath, stick them back in the bag. We'll put a prepaid envelope in there as well, stick them back in the post. They'll come back to our labs where we'll sort them out and then send them on to these guys here at Medical Detection Dogs to do the training of the dogs. So it couldn't be simpler, but we need as many people as possible to come forward if they're positive or they've had a recent test. And the way to do that is either to follow me on Twitter, Professor James Logan on Twitter, or the website www.virusdogs.com. And if you Google it, you'll find all the information there.
All right, and we'll put links to that on our app as well. So let's come to Claire now. Good morning to you, Claire. You're doing very well. I mean, those dogs are so well behaved, and you've trained hundreds of dogs here to help detect diseases like cancer and Parkinson's. How's the training going with COVID-19? Is it any different?
Well, as Jane said, it's very early days, but it's looking extremely promising. So it's no different, really, from the dog's point of view. I mean, these are, biosensors with fluffy coats and waggy tails. It's a game to them. They love looking for odours and finding odours and getting rewarded when they find them. So we're really training them to find a particular odour for COVID-19. It's a bit like becoming a wine taster, where you're learning to discriminate different wines and looking for a particular grape. And when you find that grape, you say it's there, and then you get rewarded. So the dogs absolutely love it, but of course it's a game changer for humans. We've already trained dogs to detect diseases with assistance dogs, so they look for blood sugar changes in their clients, or warn people that get about to have a drop attack. But as James said, we've also trained for other diseases like malaria, but also the cancers, some of the diseases that threaten lives for millions of people around the world.
So how do you select the dogs? How will you select your COVID-19 dogs?
Well, as I'm sure you've seen from the dogs around me, they tend to be sort of the working breeds. So we're talking about Labradors and Spaniels, dogs that just love searching and finding. Now, a lot of our dogs are actually rescue dogs. So we have a no kennel policy. They go home at night and live with fosterers or with their trainers, and they come into work in the day. But these are dogs that are the high drive, the high energy dogs, the ones that just love to work.
That's amazing. And how confident are you that the results that you get are accurate?
We're very confident because this is all science-based. Although we're using the dog as a biosensor, it doesn't mean that the accuracy of the dog cannot be measurable. Every line our dogs work, we take data from the dogs to find out how reliably they can find it. So that's sensitivity, how reliably can they find it when the disease is there, but also how reliably are they able to say when it's not them, the person's healthy. And our dogs get rewarded for the correct answers. So day by day, we can build on data that shows us exactly how reliable the dogs are. So it doesn't mean that because it's a dog, it's not measurable. This is real science behind this work, and it's taken the charity over 10 years to develop this knowledge. And working with collaborators such as London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, we're really moving forward and showing this is something that will make a huge difference to human health in the future.
How soon do you think it'll be before you can launch some sort of pilot scheme?
As soon as we get the samples, to be honest. The dogs are ready and waiting. They've all had their preliminary training. They're all up to a very high level. And now what we need to do is transfer them onto the odour of COVID-19. The dogs could then be ready within 8 weeks.
Oh, that's
Well,
incredible.
thank
And
you
just
very
to
much.
explain how sensitive their noses are, it's the equivalent of detecting a teaspoon of sugar in 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And that's how clever and sensitive their noses are. It's extraordinary.
Absolutely.
Oh, good luck. Keep doing what you're doing. It's remarkable.
Absolutely.
It really is.
We will we'll put
it.
all of your details on our
Thank
app, and so obviously now if you're about to get a diagnosis, you think you might have symptoms, or you know that you've got COVID-19, then we would really, and they would really very much appreciate your help. And so apply for one of those tester kits, and you could be a part of getting these dogs up and running and trained to detect it.